This is the Uprising Revival channel. Welcome to today's show. I have to be very careful what I show on screen here, which makes it very difficult for me to upload my normal, typical content where I'm showing you a lot of news clips, breaking it down, piecing it together so you can see it. But I'm going to show you a clip that somebody sent to me because it summarizes everything that's going on. It summarizes how stupid and dumbed down the church has become, how not just lukewarm, but stupid, right? And what does God tell us in the Bible? In Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. So when we're looking at things like the clip I'm going to show you, keep in mind that now we're seeing celebrities, we're seeing the church stand in regards to Bagelville without having a clue whatsoever about who Bagelville is. And they say, well, we don't care who you might think Bagelville is because that's hateful and that's mean. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying who bagels are in the Bible. Because if you think that it's referring to the land over there, the land that they're being attacked on, or the people in that land, then thou is deceived. Because one with common knowledge would just look at when that specific piece of land was actually named Bagelville. In 1948, when was the Bible written? Oh, right. Back in the beginning of time, right? A lot before, let's just put it that way, a lot before 1948. So most people think that that piece of land has been named that since the beginning. Since the beginning, when it became a state in 1948. At midnight on May 14th, 1948, the government proclaimed a new state of Bagelville. Okay, on that same day, the United States recognized the provisional Bagel government as de facto authority of the Bagel state. Back in 1948, thus what we're all trying to tell you Christians out there is that it is not what the Bible's referencing. Think a little bit. I know we're living in a time period where it's hard to think. I get it because I see how people act and behave, okay? But just stop reading the words on paper and realize you're being deceived. Because why do you think they hijacked that land and took that land, which is owned by the Rothschilds? The same Rothschilds own the banks. And when you hear this stuff, or most people hear this stuff, they just reject it because they go, I don't care. I don't care because the Bible says that we're supposed to defend these people. So anybody who names themselves this are chosen people. Any person out there that says, well, I just happen to be one because I decided today I'm identifying as one. Oh, does that mean that they're a chosen one? No, of course not, right? Common sense would tell us that, just like the people who claim that it's the opposite of what they're born between their legs, right? All craziness, crazy talk, right? Christians agree with that for the most part. Well, not all of them. So if somebody is claiming that there's something because they're born in a certain somewhere, do you think maybe we should see what the Bible's speaking about spiritually? I mean, we could look at Romans chapter 2, verse 29. No, a person is a bagel who is one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart by the Spirit, not by the written code. Such a person's praise is not from other people, but from God. Now, I'm going to play this clip. This is somebody who's probably an intel agent. Apparently, this is somebody from the Bachelor universe, they call it, right? The Bachelor, the Bachelorette, right? But this has got a lot of attention from people because it's just the perfect way to look at how dumb the church has gotten. And they're listening and getting lectured by somebody who went on television, now has fans and people who listen to what they say because they were on a box, right? Magically. Who couldn't be stupider? And when you think about the people that go on shows like The Bachelor, you should automatically say, okay, so somebody's obviously seeking attention and seeking fame and seeking fortune, because anyone with common sense would know you would never find love on a television show after going on one date with one person, okay? That's not how the real world works. But we're not in the real world. So people look to these false idols. They look for guidance from them. They're lectured by them, and they just keep beating this same narrative about Bagelville into their heads. Here is the clip. I might have to clip out the term that starts with is and ends with L, and just clip that part out so the algorithm doesn't pick it up. But this is what it's talking about. This human, I guess, is talking about and regurgitating. Listen, this is what we're dealing with right now.
Keep scrolling, but if you believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and you call yourself a Christian, this video is for you. You are called to stand with it and to pray. And I'm not talking about your bedtime prayers, Lord be with it. I'm talking about get on your knees and intercede and pray for what is happening in Israel right now. It is not okay, and it does affect you, and it should matter to you. This is not about politics, upbringing, nationality. This is the word of God. This is our call and a command by God to us. And rage against the Jew people is rage against God. And because we are in him, it is against us. Our command from God to support Israel comes from Genesis 12, verse 3, where God says, I will bless those who bless you, Israel, and I will curse those who curse you. One way you can pray is for the Lord to give Israel decisive victories over her enemies, which is not only including or is limited to him, but all Israeli attacks and enemies that try to take Israel out. The second way you can pray is for safe extraction of those held hostage against their wills, those who have been abused, and families who have lost loved ones, and then also the protection of civilians, those who are currently living in Israel right now. Third is for U.S. and its allies to fully support Israel. Do not waver in the face of pressure, no matter what people are saying. Fourth is for the U.S. Congress to act with speed and unity and precision as we figure out how to supply Israel with resources to defend itself. Fifth is for Americans and the church to become more united in one name under God as we increase our love and support for it. And last but not least is for revival and awakening of faith to spread all throughout the earth as people arise and seek the Lord. I have been in constant conversation with those on the front line who have been receiving intel and have been educating me on what's going on and what my response should be. I've been listening to and following, but it's USI education. Just know that your calling as a Christian is to pray, and pray more.
So is that not frightening? You know, we're supposed to take lessons from a lot of these people who claim to know the Bible. Now, I never claim to be a minister or ministry. I never claim to be any of that. The reason being is that it's just not, I don't believe that anybody should even need a title in this world. That's how I operate, okay? I see all the people out there who criticize me and about the way I talk, and then they go and they listen to people who cookie cutter, who tell them all the love stuff, who act like they interpret the Bible better than everyone else. They talk about work-based salvation, right? You see these channels, I'm sure you've all subscribed to them or listened to people who just constantly every day talk about, oh, work-based or faith-based salvation, instead of just saying, hey, you know, there's more important things to discuss. You're saved through your faith, but shouldn't everybody who loves God want to work and do God's work and will every day? Okay, so if you think for 1 second that I'm doing this stuff because I think it's going to save me, I'm not. I'm doing it because I love God and I want to see other humans because I have a soul and I do care about these other people, despite what people might say about my tone. I do care about them and I do want to see them saved, especially the young people out there who don't have a clue because they're sucked into this system because their parents sucked them into this system. And even Christian parents suck them into this system, and they don't interpret things correctly. And I don't mean and act or try to sound like I'm above anyone else, that my knowledge is above anyone else, because I'm not, and I don't. But I have a little bit of an idea about how manipulation works and how these people work from studying their operations, right? What does the Bible tell us? Be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. Well, that summarizes me in a nutshell. Okay? Because I am as wise as our enemy. I know their tricks. I know their deceit. I know their games. I've studied them. I've watched them. God gave me that discernment through the Holy Spirit. But I am as harmless and as innocent as a dove because I don't wish demise on anyone. I don't wish demise on civilians. I don't wish demise on a certain group of bagels who don't realize what they're actually involved in. Especially the ones who don't actually read the specific books and teachings that come directly from Babylon that these people are indoctrinating our culture and our society with. So listening to that, right? Here are the things America has to do. Here's what America needs to do. This is what we all have to do. And I don't care what it means. And I have intel. Oh, you have intel over there? What intel do you have? You know a person over there? Another person from the TV show, probably a producer, somebody on the show is probably your intel. That would be 100% lock because those are all the shows that these people from that current piece of land have production and editors on and people working in those shows because they're the ones who are formulating and conditioning people and molding the behavior and the morals of our society. So yeah, you probably do know somebody, but you're probably one of them. And if you're not one of them, I'm speaking of this so-called girl who's speaking, who shouldn't be speaking, by the way, because if she's going to take word for the Bible, right? This is another one of these cherry pickers. You're going to take word for word from the Bible, which is what we should all do. Agreed. But you don't know how to interpret Bagelville, you don't know how to interpret it, so you're telling everyone, well, the Bible says specifically we must support these people. Well, they're really talking about us, of course, Christians, followers of Christ, right? Everyone understand how it works? Okay? So they're saying, this girl's saying follow it verbatim. Well, there's a part of the Bible that says that a woman, I'm not sure if it is one or not, especially in today's culture, but you're not supposed to really even be giving any insight on it in general, okay? But of course that's deemed sexism, so she could overlook that and teach everybody out there about what we need to do according to God and what God's commanding us, but she doesn't even know how to interpret the Bible, let alone the fact that she's not supposed to be preaching. But that's, this is part of the cherry picking of it, right? I don't cherry pick in the Bible. I know right from wrong. I know the things that I do wrong that I need to get, to work on as a Christian, et cetera, et cetera. I also am able to interpret all the bad stuff and realize that God wasn't saying it to fearmonger. He was saying it to warn us and prepare us so that his people would not perish for a lack of knowledge. And that's exactly what we have happening here. So for anyone out there that doesn't get it, right? Let's just recap. Let's just use common sense together. Hold my hand, okay? The Bible references this place that starts with is and ends with L, okay? I call it Bagelville for people who don't know. Don't ask why. I'm sure most of you get it. If you don't, well, it's a stereotype, okay? The Bible references this place. But the Bible's talking about spiritual so many times over. Spiritual Bagelville, okay? Because when this was written, this specific place was not what it is now. The place that it is now was established with the Balfour Declaration, which is everything that happened with the world wars, was to get this piece of land. Why was it so important for them to get that land? Well, do you think it has anything to do with deceiving Christians? Right? Do you think renaming it from Palestine, I don't want to say the word for the algorithm, and then renaming it Bagelville in the year 1948, do you think it had anything to do with the state we're in now? With manipulation, mind control worked into their heads, where their brain has been programmed to say whatever they do, they could do no wrong. They're the apple of God's eyes. If they want to do this to kids, they're allowed to do this to kids. If they want to do this to other people, they're allowed to do it to other people. Yeah, that would be why in 1948, among other things, because it was, if you look at how the villain plays this, it's a genius idea. I mean, it's a deceitful one, but we know Satan's the master of lies, so it is a genius idea, right? Why not get this land, have Jerusalem, all these places right there, then name it this so people are confused about what spiritual and literal land is, so you start deceiving them, and then on top of it, you build a war machine right in that spot, a war machine that no one could touch, no one could question, and you can constantly deflect off of it. So you won't just have these specific wicked people protecting that place. You'll also have the majority of the West protecting that place. Who's the majority of the West? Christians. Why would they protect that place? Because in their minds, after they named it Bagelville, they believe that they're supposed to protect that place at all costs. So those people there could do no wrong and do no wicked. Does that make sense? So when we hear people like this who shouldn't even be speaking publicly, this ties into the narcissism, it ties into the entitlement, it ties into how everybody thinks that they have a voice in this. Okay, some people were chosen to have voices in this. And of course, a lot of those people are suppressed. And I'm not mentioning me, I'm mentioning a lot of great people out there have talked about it, right? This person's telling you that every single thing that every single Christian must do is not rage against those people because we are in him. Right? Okay, yeah. But so is the spiritual Ishmael. Okay? And he's commanding us as that spirit to stand together. Okay? He talks about, I will curse those who curse his Ishmael. So who is he talking about? He's talking about people that curse and come after and persecute his people, Christians, through Christ. Go look, if you don't understand this, at the bloodline in the Bible and study it. I can't emphasize it enough. Do you know who Esau is? Okay, these people are not of the 12 tribes. These people are of Esau. Some people know them as Khazars. Excuse me, watch my French. You know, the same people who are hiding out in Ukraine. Oh man, really hard to get the truth out there. Anyone out there that doubts me, what do you think they suppress me so much for? What do you think they suppress people like Ted Pike for? Gang stalk him, bully him, make sure he doesn't have a voice for. Because this is the one thing you can't talk about. And no matter what your channel you like to listen to is, whether it's me or somebody else, the reason all of this stuff goes on with suppression, with attacking truth, is because of these specific people, these Satanists, the synagogue of Satan. And they don't want to be revealed. And it's amazing to me. Somebody wrote something this morning I saw. They said, hey, all my friends are so dumb. They're yelling out. They're laughing at me. They're like, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. To think that the synagogue of Satan are these people. Do they know that it says that verbatim? It doesn't say, here's a mystery of who the synagogue of Satan is and we need to figure it out and try to be. No, it says it flat out verbatim. It says there are those that call themselves bagels, but are not, and are of the synagogue of Satan. So who could that be? What do you think that is? Atheists? Huh? It says it verbatim, but Christians refuse that. Of course, in the church, you can't read that in a church. You'll be hard-pressed to find a preacher who has the balls to read that. Why? Well, because he knows with Semitism in place that if he reads something like that, his church might get canceled. You know, all these things like cancel culture, the insanity where they're trying to do with kids, it all comes from their books and their teachings. So everyone out there that's getting mad and this and that about everything that's been going on, it all points to their books. Even the Muslims don't have this stuff in their books. These people are the ones who glorify this type of behavior, this immoral behavior. They're the ones. It says it directly in the books that you're not supposed to read, that they read openly in these buildings they go to on Saturdays. So where do we connect the dots? Well, it all leads there. Other people say, well, it leads to the Vatican. Well, the Vatican, of course, is involved and working hand in hand with them. No one says that they're not. But when the Bible's referencing the synagogue of Satan, it says it flat out. Those who claim to be and are not. This is spiritual. This is not a piece of land. Hey, what if tomorrow everybody in California decided that we were going to change the name to Bagelville tomorrow, right? So if we change the name of the state and everyone agrees and they say we're changing the name or we're breaking it in half and half the state's going to be California and the other half wants to take on the name Bagelville. Does that mean that they're the saved people as well? That they're the chosen people? You know, a bunch of scumbags who happen to be living in the land? Is that what that means? Oh, that's different. How is it different? How is it different? The land was taken over via the Balfour Declaration, which is available on my website to watch on uprisingrevival.com. I almost said the other name. Okay, you can watch it over there. Or you could just use what they call the Google machine that these people seem to get their education from, because even Google can't hide that. They just know that nobody knows how to interpret it. At least people who don't have discernment don't. So Google it. Google, when did this place become a state? What was it called before 1948? So what is the Bible referencing? Is it forecasting to the year 1948? So what about all the other time periods where this land was not called that? What did other people 100 years ago interpret this specific place as? They interpreted it as Christians, as followers of Christ. That's what they interpreted it as. The real people of Christ, the real chosen people, okay? They didn't interpret it as that literal piece of land over there, because 100 years ago, that's not what it was named. That's the simplest way to put it to people. So tell them to say, okay, why don't you Google when it got that name? Just say it like they're 2 years old. When did it get that name? Oh, 1948. Okay, and then they'll go, well, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, so when people read the Bible, do you think people read it in year 1600, 1700, 8? Okay, they did. Okay, and if it wasn't called that then what were people interpreting it as? Oh, a group of people? What do you think? Everybody who lives there is the specific? I mean, are people this dumb? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I mean, what more needs to be said? I will continue to beat this drum because this is the most important thing that is out there that people need to know about. I've said it for years, and I'm emphasizing it again because I feel it called upon me with all this going on. This is it now. Time. If you don't see it, and you don't see how the right wing and the left wing media is covering it and sympathizing for the same place, because remember, whenever they agree, that's when you need to be suspicious. Just like when they give stuff away for free. Oh, they're all agreeing on it. And guess what? Hollywood's in on it. Oh, so now all of a sudden we trust the liberal media and we trust Hollywood. You have MAGA and conservatives who are like, yep. Oh, we got to take these people out. These people who are against it are anti-Christian. They're looking at Christians, all these other countries in America in the West. They're going, are they that dumb? Yeah, they are. Why? Because they listen to people like this one from The Bachelor. And apparently just being on TV is enough of a hypnosis for people to go, I'm going to listen and follow this person. Hundreds of thousands of likes, 110,000 likes. Just think about that. You might be like, no one's listening to this. Okay, in my prime on here, I didn't have a video that even got more than maybe 12 to 15,000 likes in my prime, okay, which was getting hundreds of thousands of views, which tells you that this is getting millions of views. And we have over 100,000 Christians that are being deceived. That's a lot. And that's just people who follow this one. Just think of all the other ones that are getting herded now. Just use simple common sense. When did it become this place? When did it get the name? Oh, what were people thinking it was 100 years ago? They weren't thinking it was the people sitting there because it didn't exist then. It wasn't established then. And on top of it all, for anyone out there conservative who's anti-money, thinks crypto, all the conservatives who don't get it, who think they do. Oh, let me make another thing clear. If you're against the Federal Reserve, then realize who signed the Balfour Declaration. Rothschilds did. So who controls it? The Rothschilds do. I'll drop the microphone there. You'll still shake your head, majority of people, because they'll still say, I don't want to believe that. That's not interpreted right. You're not interpreting it right. You're not listening. You're not understanding common history because it wasn't told you growing up. All you heard about is that God will protect his people, blank IL, bagels, right? So you think when this is getting blasted in front of you that it has to do with that, then you believe the fake narrative of the news media of what's actually happening there when it's wrong. And again, I have a new video up on the website for anyone still listening that you should check out. It is the acting, the greatest acting, or the worst acting, but the most I've seen it once, with all these news anchors who pretend to be in the line of fire. It's incredible. Even have people carrying around other people's legs and placing them next to the body so they can take photos. I mean, it's really unbelievable. That's on the website Uprising Revival. I can't upload it here for obvious reasons. And again, I can't even put stuff on the screen here because this is stuff they don't want you to hear. And eventually the algorithm will find it. And that's why you need to sub to my backup channel now if you haven't. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. This again has my blood boiling. Can you tell? Yeah, I'm not happy. I am very angry. My spirit is very hot right now. I thank you for being here. God bless all of you and your families.